Welcome to the September 25th, 2015 edition of the Common Sense television show. We are broadcasting on Utica, Rome, public access cable TV channel 99 on Mondays at 6 p.m., Tuesdays 8 and 9:30 p.m., Wednesdays at 5, Thursdays 1 and 8:30, and Sunday mornings at 8. I'm Frank Vescera. Rick Kaplan will be joining us shortly, but first, as always, we go to the who's list, those who met bankruptcy's challenges and in spite of financial obstacles were successful or notable. And this week, Sherman Hemsley, I think everyone should remember that name. Sherman Hemsley was a TV actor and played George Jefferson in the Jeffersons, and also did some parts on the Archie Bunker show. And he was certainly a character. I enjoyed that show. Our guest today is Jim Brock of the Jim Brock Agency in South Utica. Jim, it's nice to have you on the program.
It's a pleasure to join you today.
And my pleasure also. When the news came out earlier in the week, you were on one of the radio shows with Assemblyman Brindisi, and I got 2 or 3 calls. I didn't hear it, but I got 2 or 3 calls following that and said, this occurred. And the interchange, I guess I found a lot of people. I called you, and you and I are certainly on the same page on this. Before we get into that, I'd like to go right back. Let's go back to the beginning and talk about what precipitated all this. We were always told that with 3 good hospitals and everything's fine. But it seems that when money is dangled in front of certain people, then all logic goes out the window. So now, because we don't want the next our neighbor, municipality, to get the money, we're going to do everything we can to fit a square peg in the round hole. Do you feel that's the case?
Yeah, I think
to a certain extent?
I think you make a very good point. I think Frank, what's troublesome to me and our group, #NoHospital Downtown, is that we had a group of people in a back room decide where this hospital was going to go without input from our citizens. That is a real problem. We have the political class reminding us that they are giving us $300 million. I'd like to remind everyone listening tonight, it is our money. They are simply returning our money to us, and never let anyone in the political class tell us it is their money that they are giving us. It is our money. Therefore, the people should have a say in how money is spent. They decided in their infinite wisdom, and mind you, after some business deals were already cut, that they wanted to wipe out blocks and blocks of downtown Utica, take them off the tax rolls forever, and build this behemoth multi-story hospital along with an 8-story parking garage. And they believe that's going to generate economic impact for our downtown and create interest in people going downtown.
What I'd like to do, Jim, is to take this in pieces like a puzzle.
Let's do it.
But let's go back first and talk about the need or the reason. What was the trigger for this? Like I said, the 3 hospitals. Have any of these 3 hospitals ever been written up for poor performance?
You know, I've seen different studies on where some of our hospitals have not ranked as high as maybe we would have liked. We all know that they are hemorrhaging financially. And I want to compliment the board. They're trying to find a creative way to deliver the best health care possible to the citizens of not only the city of Utica, but the entire county and the Mohawk Valley. So I commend them for looking outside the box and saying, hey, let's provide better health care, do effectively, efficiently, and hopefully not at the huge deficits they're currently running. However, that being said, their idea of placing this downtown is a real poor decision. I'll also compliment them that when they passed the downtown location, they also unanimously passed the alternative location, which is at St. Luke's campus, which is in fact where many of them honestly believe it should be built. But because of pressure from the political class saying you will either designate downtown as your first choice, or we threaten to pull the money, they went ahead and did so. I think that's a bad way for government to operate.
Can you let us know? Was it that bluntly? If you don't do it here, I mean, by a public official, that will pull funds or pull the opportunity?
Let's put it this way.
I'm not going to put you on the spot.
Right.
I'm just saying, if it's general knowledge, if there's a room full of people, and if somebody had that opportunity to be so blunt, should they get credit for it?
I can tell you from folks that shared this with me, that it was our friend Steve DeMayo who delivered the message from the political class that the money would be pulled if the hospital location was not downtown.
Let's go to, since you brought up this sites, many people, I'm going to get calls, contacts, many people found it very strange that two sites were mentioned. Well, really one, only the second came about because of the first was forced out. Well, many people thought that one of the first sites that should have been on the top of the list was the old Psych Center. We wanted to see, but that wasn't mentioned, the old, the former GE complex on Broad Street, Charlestown, further on down, which has plenty of land. None of those were even in your meetings prior to the announcement. Were those ever mentioned, those properties?
You know, I think they were lightly glossed over. I've had a lot of calls about the Psych Center as well. What a wonderful way, if in fact the politicians are correct that this is such an economic boom, what a wonderful way to bring back West Utica.
Exactly.
And imagine that the old main building at the Psych Center refurbished for offices and doctors, and then behind it, their new tower of a hospital. That would be a wonderful idea, but they said that people would not want to visit the hospital if it was located in West Utica.
Okay, you can't state like that. How do you back that up?
How do I back that up?
How do they back that up?
Well, that's exactly what they said.
What does it mean?
They said that people would be afraid to go to West Utica to visit the hospital.
A person actually said that.
Yes,
But
absolutely.
how did did anybody say, well, prove it? Or what do you substantiate? How do you substantiate that?
You know, I'll go one step further.
I mean, what is there some stigma to that because it's a Psych Center?
I think the stigma for some is the idea of going in West Utica. But I would submit to you that if it was built there, I think that it would improve the area, make it safer, and ultimately would not be a bad choice. But really, let's talk about the leading choice, which is the St. Luke's campus. You're very familiar with the Cogen plant that creates great synergy for the hospital and the campus. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent, if not millions, on that plant. They have the room to build a new hospital there while still operating St. Luke's. And as Todd Hutton retires, his dream is to see UC become UU, Utica University or the University of Utica. And one of the ways he sees that happening is by having a medical program, a first graduate program at the new University of Utica. Doesn't it make sense to have that synergy of a hospital across the street from the college? So the politicians will say, look to University Hospital in Syracuse because of the economic impact around that. I would submit to you the economic impact is created at Syracuse University because of the number of people who live in and around the university or the university. Couldn't we create that kind of synergy here in our own hometown? That's what we would like to see. That's certainly what a lot of other folks would like to see. It's the one that makes sense. Why on earth would we take more properties off the tax roll in the city of Utica when the city of Utica already has far too many properties off the tax rolls? My God, what is this going to do to the taxpayers in this community? I being one of them.
Well, I was on the council when the state came in, and I was definitely opposed to the plan. I think building pedestrian bridges, the way they did, is something that was astounding to do. You have Rome that had Liberty Bridge, they just knocked it down a few years ago because it never worked. But here we go and build, a lot of places are taking it down. The only place that I see a pedestrian bridge working possibly would be the North Utica nowadays, Square. But that would be a real pedestrian bridge for a real need. Besides that, let's go back to the site that you mentioned, the hospital. And I agree with you, the hospital would be a good site, but again, let's go back to the Psych Center. Those two sites then, because they really bookend the Utica College. Why weren't those two sites the ones for first and second? And then I would think that the Utica, downtown Utica would have been one of the last. Now this is my word, so I'm just speaking because out of the head here. We took 8 properties to build the new bridge for the airfield. Now we're going to take another 22 properties to do this if it goes through. That's over 100 properties, and like I said, who's going to absorb that? The rest of us have to absorb that off the tax base.
Absolutely.
So that does make a lot of sense to me. That's really one of the fundamental reasons I find this a problem, because Utica should be dynamic and the downtown should be dynamic. And as soon as you do something, we do something, and it sacrifices something else. Okay, to the extent that I don't think it makes sense. Compromising is one thing, do it the way they're doing it. I think this is not compromise. I think it's a sellout. Many people feel it's a sellout.
Absolutely, and the bottom line is the Psych Center is already off the tax rolls. So is St. Luke's. Now, some will tell you that the legislation was written for downtown Utica. The fact of the matter is, I have the legislation. It did not specify downtown Utica. It did specify the major population area of the county, which we can argue is Utica. If that is the case, the only thing that we need to do to qualify the St. Luke's campus for that funding would be to annex it to the city of Utica, just as we did the section of the Masonic Care community that was in Frankfurt. This is not a difficult thing. We annex that property, all of a sudden it complies with Assemblyman Brindisi's legislation, and it would make that a viable location for funding. But let's talk about the funding for a minute, because this concerns me as well. Let's assume for a moment that, in fact, regardless of where we build it, the $300 million comes. We know that 2 years ago it was estimated to build a new hospital between $350 to $400 million. Today they're saying it's going to be $600 million, with a 5-year projection of completion. You and I both know, by the time the hospital is completed and all is said and done, it'll be $1 billion. who's going to pay that? Is Assemblyman Brindisi and the rest of them who support this downtown, are they going to go back to the governor, whoever he or she may be at that time, and say, we need the money to bail out not only the city of Utica, but the county of Oneida? Because who's going to come up with a shortfall? And we know it'll be more than 600 million.
Well, let's take a break. We are speaking with Jim Brock of Jim Brock Agency of South Utica, and we will turn shortly. Thank you for staying tuned to the September 25th, 2015 edition of the Common Sense television show. I'm Frank Vescera, host along with Rick Kaplan, and we remind you that if you'd like to be a guest, to suggest a guest, or make a comment, call 724-8884, or email us at commonsense@hotmail.com, and we have a guest list that is very much involved in a hot topic this week when we found out the news. Here was the headline, downtown top pick for new hospital. And I think that this headline shocked a lot of people. The subjective top pick, most people found very, very interesting to say the least. In today's paper, also our guest is Jim Brock of Jim Brock Agency in South Utica. Jim, you put this ad in, correct?
Yes, our group did put and posed the question, new hospital downtown, question mark. And of course, our group is no hospital downtown, and our website is www.nohospitaldowntown.com. Join us on the web, join us on Facebook at #NoHospitalDowntown.
In the previous segment, you mentioned about promises from the state, who's going to pay for the overruns. But even if we did get a promise, I as a councilman remember a few years ago, that promises were made about the site center, either rehabbing that or not the building, the actual intake building where the clients or the patients are held. That building, the state promised that if they didn't rehab it or do something with it, they would knock it out. So to answer your question, should we rely, even if the state does give a commitment, I don't think that's a reliable thing to hang your head on, because they did not keep their commitment with that. So I think you're right. Where's that big one going to come from? And will it just be dormant and only be half done? And that'd be another eyesore. I guess not what we do, it's how we do it.
It's going to come from the same source that money comes from lately through dormitory authority, flowed through state taxpayers' money.
Well, we know that. I think the point is that we're not being, a lot of the things that we're being told by the officials that are trying to ram around this thing through, if you look at them below the surface, they don't seem to have much validity, because when you do some homework and you do some research, you see that there's nothing to back up what they're saying. And one of the interesting things, I mean, rumors are flying out all over the place. One of the rumors that I've heard by several people, and Utica is very free with their rumor mill. But some truth in everything that you hear, and you just engage and find out how accurate it is. Many people that this was jammed into the city because all those buildings down there, that there are 22 properties that will be taken off the tax rolls, are owned by some folks who can stand to make a lot of money off these properties. And everybody knows how that works. It's one hand washes the other.
Well, yeah, it's not renovating downtown. You don't renovate downtown by destroying 13 businesses or 22. Then leveling them all, putting a hospital. Or hospitals belong in the suburbs, or it used to be. Now, one of the main questions I have is what's going on with St. Elizabeth? We spent, or I don't know what we spent, but I'm sure there's a lot of public money spent on lowering the mountain over there, so to speak. And,
listen, there was so much money spent at St. Elizabeth over the years, and of course, to put our cardiac wing in, that many people in our community are very proud of. Certainly all of that is lost when that building becomes vacant. And it begs the question, what is in fact going to happen with the St. Elizabeth's campus? Some of the things that we've heard locally is that maybe it will be a nursing home, maybe it will be senior age living, a lot of maybes. I have also heard that if those two fail, maybe in fact it will become Section 8 housing in the middle of South Utica's residential section. So these should be concerns for everyone. What is going to happen with these campuses? And of course we know they're off tax rolls. It reminds me of when we were promised. We were going to expand Proctor, and we were promised that the old UFA, when we turned it into Laredo, was going to be boom, Cornell. Oh my, this was going to just be great. But we all know how that worked out.
Yeah, you left UFA as a central school. You could expand it out really on this job for Corner Hill rather than build up. We took an area where Proctor, and we had to build up out aside from out. And I think that was one of the major problems in the past. But let me ask this: does this have anything to do with the fact that blending St. Elizabeth and the other hospitals, there was always a question of going from a religious context to a secular context, certain restrictions and whatnot. I knew that was not an insurmountable problem, but that was mentioned as one of the concerns when they were going to consolidate the hospitals at the time. Whatever happened with that? Because I never heard more about consolidation.
I mean, consolidation was dictated by the fact that our hospitals were hemorrhaging financially. And, I'm a guy who's in favor of regionalization, and I'm not necessarily opposing the hospital. Certainly I'm opposing where they're going to put it. They're hoping to achieve economies of scale by having one central location, modernized, more efficient, and all those things. And I'm not here to debate whether the hospital should or shouldn't come. But it does come, it certainly shouldn't be taking more property off the tax rolls and leaving that financial burden on the citizens and business owners in the city of Utica. This is wrong. Let's talk specifically about what the political class say the hospital will do. I want to drive this home to the listeners. One, Assemblyman Brindisi loves to talk about the economic impact of hospital foot traffic. About my buildings in South Utica. We were flanked by 2 hospitals forever. I bought the building in the mid-70s. I can tell you that hospital foot traffic is a fallacy. Let's take each class of people to visit the hospital. 1, doctors. Even though it was not scientific, for the last 2 months I polled every doctor I've seen who does rounds at the hospital. Every one of them have said none will live next to the hospital. They will go and do their rounds like they would at any other hospital, and then they will go home. And I said to them, well, if you're going home, are you stopping at our shops and restaurants downtown? And they said, no, the first thing I'm going to do after my rounds is I'm going to go home, see my spouse, and then I'm going to decide where we're going to go. They even said, many of them, that if I've spent all day downtown, I'm going to be less likely to go back downtown to frequent shops, restaurants, and bars.
These are the doctors.
These are the doctors. Let's take the next group of people that our political class likes to tout as creating economic impact. And those are our fine, hardworking nurses. They will be using a subsidized cafeteria in the bottom of this brand new hospital. When they're done there, many of them, unfortunately, and we've seen it on the street corners around our current hospitals, will then go out and have their cigarettes on the corner. When their shift is over, they're going to leave downtown. Especially during the winter months of darkness, when downtown will go dark at 5 p.m. They're not going to walk the streets of downtown. And the last group they like to tout are the patients and those visiting them. I would submit to you, no patient on the way to the hospital is thinking about stopping at Bite Bakery or the Taylor and Cook or the beautiful new Ocean Blue for a meal or a bite to eat before going to the emergency room. So let's assume they're admitted. Now one of us is going to visit a loved one in the hospital. Isn't our focus to get there as quickly as possible, spend as much time showing care and love to that sick person, and when you're done doing that, how many of us have any interest in going out? Most of us want to go home. So what a hospital does is it closes your downtown down at 5 p.m. I can look to the successes of Miami. I can look to the successes of Houston, Texas, the south end of Boston. They all had come up with a way that their downtown opened at 5 p.m. And the way you do that is with lofts, apartments, condos that attract the 30-something, with the momentum we already have with Ocean Blue, the Broda Project, Taylor and Cook, Bite Bakery, that wonderful Utica bread. These shops are opening, and least we forget, of course, the fantastic coffee you can get in our hometown with the Utica Roasters. These businesses are opening up because people are starting to live downtown. We have the wonderful effort that has taken place in Bag Square West, Bag Square East. Again, shops opening, lofts opening up above the success of Gerber's. And of course, the success we've had at the Utica Memorial Auditorium in revitalizing that, bringing the Comets to town. For the first time in my lifetime, I have listened to people from the suburbs, New Hartford, Whitesboro, Clinton, in that auditorium chanting Utica. We're finally coming together as a community. We've got momentum, there's excitement. The youth want to live downtown. They don't want to live next to a hospital.
Well, it's not only that, the idea that you have here with the nanotech center and all these things coming over, all they're doing is building. And now they came out with an announcement last month about more money. And the first thing they said is, well, we have to use the facilities that we already built. We have to build a new facility. So they're going to build a new facility. They're going to build a hospital downtown. We have the hospitals to begin with. The question in my mind is this just a way to fund money through construction? And are we going to end up with a bunch of empty buildings at the end of someone's term when they no longer want to run for re-election? Or are these, first of all, are they needed? And second of all, are they going to be filled with people?
You know, you asked a wonderful set of questions there. And let me address what our requirements are, no hospital downtown, of these elected politicians and even of the hospital board. We request all copies of all studies done that help the board conclude that this location meets the needs of our area's healthcare. We want these made public. In addition, our media has to challenge the political class to answer the following questions, which, by the way, are questions you ask of any project of this magnitude.
Can I interrupt you for a
Sure.
minute? By the way, we were speaking to Jim Brock.
But I do want to get to these points.
On the Jim Brock Agency in South Utica. Who was on this committee? Who, you're reading from the results
The
of
press release.
from the board of directors, the Mohawk Valley board of directors, right?
This is our response, this press release that I'm reading from.
Okay,
Our response to that.
Who made the decisions? What was the name of that group and who was on that group? You No?
Who made what decision?
This decision. Okay, who picked? Who was the pick?
The
Who,
MVHS's board of directors.
and how many members on that board?
The exact number of members are not, I can't tell you how many board members there are.
Okay, all right, okay.
I think it's very easily found out by simply Googling
I can do that later.
their board of directors.
I will do that.
But here's the question that our media has to ask, and how politicians for. One, will there be a feasibility study done? If so, what criteria will they look at? Two, can the infrastructure in downtown location handle a project this scope? Sanitary sewers, storm sewers, water, electricity, gas. And more importantly, what capacities will then be left of these public utilities for future development? What state and county agencies will be involved in the specific planning process? What are the start and completion dates for the various stages of planning and construction? Will these properties in fact be purchased prior to final project approval? Who will be the lead agency? Are there in fact historical buildings in the planned footprint of the complex that should be preserved? And how will our public be notified of the progress of public hearings and all scoping sessions? We can't get an answer from our elected officials on any of these. In fact, when asked about the studies done that helped the board make the decision, we have had mixed answers. The study does exist, the study doesn't exist. It exists, but we can't get it to you. Why can't we shine a bright light on this, Frank, and show what criteria they use to say we need to take blocks and blocks off the tax rolls of the city of Utica, future areas of development? Why can't we see this?
Jim, what I'd like to do after the break is take these one by one and let's talk about them.
All right.
I'm back with Sarah with the captain, and we will return with our guest, Jim Brock, of the Jim Brock Agency in South Utica, just momentarily. We are back. I'm Frank Vescera, your host, along with Rick Kaplan, co-host. You are watching the September 25th, 2015 edition of the Consensus television show. Our guest is Jim Brock of the Jim Brock Agency in South Utica, talking about this dynamic topic that everyone just was hit with this week. Again, the downtown top pick for the new hospital was not some of the obvious choices that people brought up. It was the city of Utica, downtown on Columbia Street in West Utica. You mentioned, you went over the list, Jim, of some of the questions that need to be answered. So let's take those one by one.
Okay.
One of the things that I brought up, the Mohawk Valley Health System, that's the board, the Mohawk Valley Health System Board. I would think, and I would be inclined to probably contact them, ask them for copies of their minutes and any other possible FOIL information.
However, it's very possible and most likely that the hospital board itself, when going into these discussions, went into executive session. So it's very possible that you may not be able to get hold of those. But I would submit to you that we should be able to FOIL EDGE, because allegedly Steve Mayo's study through EDGE was the study that these politicians have rested their hat on as to why this should be forced downtown. We, as taxpayers, as citizens, not only of the city of Utica, but of the county and the region, should demand to see Mr. DeMayo's study, if in fact it exists.
Well, we'll try to find out.
One thing on FOIL is the money that's available for a project of this nature. What federal funds are you going to ask for, or do you feel that you have a right to request, or what state funds? For instance, in the 2009 stimulus bill, the federal government gave lots of money to Indian tribes to open hospitals, for instance. Is there any involvement here, for instance, indirectly or whatever? There's all sorts of, I think you can find the funding sources first, as in any project, whether privately.
Well, they should be finding the funding sources and telling us, the citizens,
Well, I'm saying,
how they're going to fund
that I
it.
think would be foilable as far as who you asked. That's a question that's, questions you talk about executive sessions would be, is there a lawsuit pending, is there foreclosure on property that they want to obtain, is there properties that they don't want to,
The hospital, and as many boards can do, they can go into executive session when they're dealing with contracts and things of that nature. They have to come out of executive session to vote yea or nay. But the discussions themselves may be difficult to get. What we have to FOIL, though, is if in fact EDGE, which allegedly they did the study that chose downtown location, let's see that.
Well, first find out, I think you would agree with me, find out where the funds are coming from, because then you know who's interested in the particular project. Would it be the state funds, federal funds, private funds, collateral funds, funds that are available? And
Most questions can be asked. This is going to be a process, I think, that as it unfolds, will widen in depth in its scope.
Frank, I want to share something with you, and we'll take the cover of the ID for a minute. They like to show this block that the politicians want to demolish. I'll harken back to my conversation when the assemblyman called me and we spoke for probably an hour. And he said to me, look, that's all blight in there. I just want to level it. We're going to build this brand new hospital. Well, I would submit to your listeners and viewers that where these politicians see blight, I see opportunity. I see more tailoring the cooks and bite bakeries and girders opening up in those old historic buildings. I see lofts above it. I see, most importantly, as we increase the population living downtown, I see supermarkets like Trader Joe's considering coming. I would submit to you they're not going to come because a hospital's there and people leave at 5 p.m. They measure the number of units of people living downtown in apartments, condos, and lofts. They'll look 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and they're looking for a trajectory of population moving to downtown so that it makes financial sense to once again return a supermarket downtown, especially a Trader Joe's, which would again attract that 30-something who's looking for the urban lifestyle. They're not coming if we take all of that property that we could put those kinds of infrastructure for living for the urban dweller. They're not coming if it's all taken up with a parking garage and a hospital.
Well, first of all, I'd ask the Assemblyman Belize, you see blight at St. Elizabeth Hospital? Because you're going to be emptying that building, it'll be an abandoned building that no one will be taken care of if you close it down. Secondly, I find it very interesting that everyone talks about, oh, well, we'll take care of this blighted area, which you probably get $5,000 a parcel, now they're going to want $500,000 a parcel or whatever. You're telling people that the railroad's coming through and we want to buy your property. Why not already have contracts for, they're going to have contracts that said in the event we want to do something in this area, you would be willing to take this for your property. And they could have developed it over a period of time rather than announce it, and then we'll seek the property value.
Let me remind you that when politicians scream this area is nothing but blight, we can only look to Ag Square East and Beck Square West, where some just a few years ago saw nothing but blight there as well. We had pioneers like Brett Truitt and others who said, you know what, I see opportunity. Our group sees opportunity where they see blight. When I was a young man, and you'll remember this, Frank, the Stanley was in complete disrepair. The three options put to the public: 1, to restore it; 2, was to level it for surface parking; and 3, they were going to gut it and put some sort of bargain basement in. Well, there were those who said the Stanley is in such disrepair, it's nothing but blight. My parents and many others in this community stepped up and said, no, we see opportunity, we see beauty. I remember when politicians also promised us that if we took the first block on Jesse Street and the block behind it, and the block behind it, and we leveled it, and we put in a state office building, a parking garage that could only be used for about 2 years, and a county office building, that foot traffic alone would save downtown Utica. I would submit to you and your viewer listeners, that is a fallacy. This is the same fallacy as the hospital. Now, should those buildings have been downtown somewhere? Yes, but not where they located them. It is not the foot traffic of the person who comes at 8 a.m. and leaves at 5 p.m. that saves your downtown. It is the ones that come home at downtown Utica at 5 p.m. That is where folks must be. A hospital closes down at 5 p.m. We got to open up.
I think what proves your point, Jim, is the fact that Saranac Thursdays, it proves their point. These people come from all over, from after 5 o'clock to Saranac Thursday. We have other ones. Another building that was put up for possible demolition was the former HSBC building, which is now the Landmark building.
What a wonderful job.
So I mean,
they've
you
done.
get a double, you get the two-step. You know, they'll change their logic in one area, and then they'll reverse it on another. So these buildings, like I mentioned, Stanley, should be demolished. They weren't, they were safe. So blight, whether you use it for a hospital, the question is, do you use it to replace it with a hospital or with places like F5? That's the question. The blight's there, you know that. I mean, that's not a problem. But what is the best way to use that property at 5 o'clock? And I think you're right, because if we're going to build on the whole concept with what's happening in North Utica, with Nicky Noodles and the Harbor Point, with a pedestrian bridge coming over to that, and I think that would be a really usable pedestrian bridge if it's wide enough and done properly. And you build on that. But what we seem to do is have these knee-jerk reactions, and you put these pieces of puzzles that can't do any connections for them. And I think this is putting this downtown is not the right. But what I'd like to do, let's go down this list. Where will be a feasibility study done?
And if so, what criteria will they use?
Okay, now who would normally, who would some of the obvious choices be to this feasibility study in your mind?
Well, the people who have to do the feasibility study, the people advocating that it has to be downtown.
So that would be the city of Utica?
That would be all types of different departments, both city, county, and state. So, but we want to know, what criteria will they use? Now, let's go to the second one, which is the infrastructure. As you know, I sit on the Auditorium Authority Board. Now, I'm not speaking on behalf of the Auditorium Authority Board, but I can share with you that the infrastructure in the entire city of Utica, which is the weakest, is in and around the auditorium. What on earth are we going to do to the infrastructure down there by building a behemoth hospital and parking garage? What about the sewers, both sanitary and storm sewers, water, electricity, gas? My gosh, why on earth would you go to a location that is so weak already and build this hospital? We want answers to those. How are you going to do it?
Yeah, Utica County's already screaming about the level of Hinkley Lake, and if we put a hospital in, that'll be one of the largest, uses of water in the area. I think hospitals and prisons are the largest,
But you can argue that would be less to some degree because you're consolidating three hospitals to one.
no, we're talking infrastructure here. They don't use as much water downtown now that they would as a hospital.
It is a strain on
It is
on
a
the infrastructure,
tremendous
yes.
strain on the infrastructure.
Well, there's always gonna be a lot more water used, right?
And we, absolutely, and we want to know what state and county agencies are going to be involved in this planning process. We want to see those plans. They need to give us a start and completion date.
Now, if you're not, is Mr. Brindisi, is somebody busy, going to be leading this vanguard, be the vanguard for this, who comes back to compile this information?
Can I share a funny story with you?
Sure.
You know, they announced the hospital location downtown. And they talked about the fact that it would 34 acres and showed the blocks they were going to demolish. Well, our group went to Google Earth. And for those of you who are computer savvy, you can simply put in those dimensions in Google Earth, and Google Earth will tell you exactly what the acreage is, which is 12.5 acres. Now, if they can't even get the acreage right, that's frightening. But when Mr. Brindisi was pressed on Twitter by one of our members about that, he said, well, that's an issue you're going to have to take up with the hospital board. He didn't have an answer for why, when they made the public release, they don't even have the acreage right downtown. If that number is wrong, how many other numbers in their calculations are wrong? More importantly, why aren't they showing us their calculations?
So Assemblyman Brindisi, was championing this, and the thought of a different figure when they were brought to his attention that, he know there's only 5. How much acreage is involved? I know there's 50 acres, available at the site center. How many acres are available at the,
St. Luke's campus, I understand somewhere between, available to build on somewhere between 45 and 60 acres. I've heard both figures. You know, it's interesting when we look at that, and we think about the fact that someday Todd Hutton's dream is to see UC become UU. What a wonderful thing, that synergy that we will have with Utica University and our first graduate program in medicine. If our hospital is right across the street. I mean, come on, folks, this is such a no-brainer for our community. And since it's already off the tax rolls, we're not taking another whole section of our community off the tax rolls. You know, you brought prisons. Sometimes our politicians' answers to everything is build a prison, build a not-for-profit, build a state or county office building. That does not.
Oh yeah, got all set up here, politicians in New York got all set when prisoners couldn't be counted in the district that the elected official was in, because in some districts you have more thousand people if you didn't count the prisoners. The state law changed it where if you come from New York City, you know, your status to be counted from New York City. You know,
We need to challenge these guys.
this is incredible that there's so lack of planning here, I can't believe it. And I'm not even talking about the planning vision statement that was done at the city of Utica, which never includes anything that's on the front page, seems like.
And by the way, bring up a very good point. The long-range plan for downtown never mentioned a hospital.
Never.
And what we are looking to build, especially with us at the AUG, is to see maybe someday between us and the waterfront, our new baseball stadium, with a hopefully double-A baseball team returning to a city that loves baseball. We want to see the development along the waterfront. And then we want those people who are enjoying those amenities, the arts, the entertainment, sports, to then walk over that bridge and go home to their lofts in that area that they want to demolish and build a
I
hospital.
heard recently they want to move Burning Field to another field, build another field and move Burning Field. That's a problem with the county in general. We've always been competing with ourselves, moving checkers around our board without having any input from outside kind of coming to increase population. In other words, their solution to everything is to build something, keep the construction business going, and we'll decide what to do with the property after we build it. Because this is basically that sort of situation that's occurred here. It's from what I hear. For instance, here's a major problem, unions. The unions of the nurses associations or the doctors or whoever's in, or the laborers in the hospital and everything. Am I going to lose my job because they're building this hospital down in downtown, or is my job to be transferred to there?
Well, let me speak to that. You bring up a very good point. I'm not sure citizens of this community understand that there will be 110 less beds in the new facility than we currently have. There will be 269, estimated 269 layoffs, less people working in our hospital system. And if you've had the unfortunate opportunity to go to one of our ERs and wait 4, 6, 9 hours to be treated, you know we're already understaffed. Our fine hospital nurses and doctors are working tirelessly to try to deal with demand. And we're going to build a hospital 110 beds smaller than our current demand. And if we assume for a minute that everything the governor promised is true, and I'm not here to say it is or it isn't, but let's assume for the first time in government history what they promised they deliver. And we do inherit all those wonderful jobs from now. Isn't our demand, therefore, for healthcare going to go up? And we're going to build a hospital that is obsolete on the day it opens with regard to capacity? These are all questions that need to be out there.
We need to take a break, and when we return, we'll continue with our first segment along with the Jim Brock Agency in South Utica. We're back. I'm Frank Vescera, host, along with Rick Kaplan, co-host, and wanted to inform you that beginning tonight, obviously you're not going to see this until next week, but from now on, every Friday at 5 p.m. at the Utica Public Library, you'll be able to meet with this group, No Hospital Downtown, at the library, and it's open to the public. And I think everyone's view should be heard, regardless of what they are, as long as it's presented in a polite way.
Can I touch on something that we haven't touched on? And that is, as we all know, we are on the verge of an oral election. We have 3 candidates. I'm not willing to endorse any of them, but what I would ask the population of the city of Utica who will be voting for the next mayor, press that mayor on whether they support the hospital downtown. If they say they do, press the mayor on how we make up all of the lost tax revenue that we currently have, but more importantly, the opportunity of tax revenue on that property as it becomes developed with private businesses and industry. Again, all of that is killed if we put hospital in the middle of it. But we need to get a specific answer from our current mayor and candidates running, one former mayor. In addition, speaking of former mayors, Tim Julian is wonderful on this issue, very eloquent in his reasoning for not having this hospital downtown. We have Claudia Tenney, who is supporting our efforts. Because think about this, Frank.
Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney.
Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney. Think about this. She represents the most affluent part of our county. She also represents the part of our county that currently has St. Luke's campus. And yet, she was kept out of every single meeting, discussion, and plan. I asked the political class, how do you leave out Assemblywoman Tenney on a decision this critical for not only our city, our county, our region, which she represents a very important part of, and have her blindsided by it? This is unacceptable, the way this deal has been ramrodded through.
Well, I'll go one step further with you. This is my word. The city, I, along with the 3 councilmen at large, have been included in this. There are 3 council members at large, and myself. So there should have been at least 4 council members. In some way, maybe not into the inner circle, I understand, but certainly we should have been assured to some way and not been blindsided. I know I found out about this week, and certainly sure the rest of the council did.
You know,
I know it was their objective to keep it quiet.
well, you gotta look at these things, you know, we have a tendency to not look at the overall picture and what's going on here, how the pieces of the chessboard are being moved around. Because I'll tell you, I'll use this as an example, there are 3 major things, I believe, in the last 3 years or so, we led to the demise of Utica. One, we've already talked about not having UFA as the central high school in the city, to establish the center of Cornhill, renovate that, expand that out, and as the center lived, the entire city would live nicely, rather than build up to the sky in the Brock area. The second one was when we built a business park and took all the jobs out of Utica and tried to put them in all these business parks around here, which
In particular, Griffiths.
Which got, well, I talk about Utica for the moment, but Griffiths is...
I'm talking about the businesses they took from the city.
They have a tendency to gut the area, build for the developer, and then leave it to...
And subsidized, by the way.
And
subsidize those jobs and businesses leaving the city of Utica.
And the third is obviously the water board that we had, that we sold to a public authority for peanuts, and for less than we got it for in 1938. And then those 3 things, I think, really gutted Utica, the power of Utica as a city. It would never have been tolerated in Syracuse, for instance, but there's no vision as to what occurs. What's their solution? We'll make a parking lot out of Utica. And I mean that literally, because
Exactly.
if you're going to put a hospital in there, this doesn't renovate downtown. It just makes a parking lot out of the area, because no one can live there, as you point out. No one's going to be in there except in cafeterias. And the thing that really gets my vote on this one is that it's so blatant. We've got 3 hospitals now, 3 major hospitals that were touted as state-of-the-art heart hospitals or whatever, just within the last 5-10 years, whatever it was. And now, what's going to happen with them?
Well, one of the things that I heard, and it should really, because you know things don't turn out the way you're told, one of the things that South Uticans should be very, very concerned about, that if everything else fails with the good intentions involved, the last ditch effort will be Section 8 housing up there. And, you know, it's not far-fetched in my view. When you see the way things have normally transpired, we only have a few minutes left.
Frank, I want to address the point, because again, the folks pushing this downtown want to talk about University Hospital in Syracuse, and of course, leave out the fact that people live on that campus. I challenge Assemblyman Brindisi to take his wife and his children by the hand and walk the streets around Krause and St. Joe's after 5 p.m. this fall. We know the sun sets at around 5 when it becomes dark. And I want him to come back and tell me how safe he felt. And I want him to come back and report to his constituents what a great economic impact Krause and St. Joe's are for those neighborhoods. They're flatly wrong on this issue. I know that in his heart he believes in Utica, but he is just wrong. as is our county executive, as are all of the other people trying to ram this down the city's throats. Now listen, I have fought side by side with these guys on some things that have been very successful in this community. I like them all personally. I think they do have good intentions, but they are just wrong in process and how they decide to force it downtown, and certainly they're wrong on reason.
Let me weigh in one last thing. Concerning the Old Main and West Utica, I brought this up a long time ago about having some kind of relationship with Syracuse University and building a psychiatric part of the medical university in Utica. The Old Main, the historical building, that could be a teaching facility. You put in an auditorium there, maybe you bring back some, or not bring back, but try to find some old implements, and part of that would be a museum. In other words, be a teaching hospital for psychiatry, a branch perhaps of Syracuse University. Now with the hospital also being in the mix here, and as you point out, they've got a lot of land there to build, and they've got facilities that are used to facilities for larger operations such as that. It might be an idea to try to put down in that neck of the woods.
Well, you know, you bring up a very good point with the Psych Center. Let's all remember that when the Psych Center was closed down, we were assured, if not guaranteed, that it would be repurposed, reutilized, maintained. It wasn't.
And if it wasn't, they would knock it down at state expense.
And at state expense. These are the same folks, the political class, that are promising us when we vacate St. Luke's and St. E's that these two will be repurposed, and if not knocked down. So I'd like to see not only just promises made, but guarantees in writing and money set aside for that very purpose. It's troublesome, the whole process is troublesome, the backroom dealings are troublesome.
When we lost,
Let's get it, because you only have a few minutes left. I want to finish this.
when we lost General Electric, it's this buy or rent mentality. For instance, nanotech, no private company is buying anything, they're renting. And the rent in many cases is being paid for by the state. So their connection to the area is going to be zero. When GE left, they had several corporations that were transferring property so that GE got out of paying taxes to the city of Utica that they otherwise would have to be stuck. You want to leave GE, fine. You're going to keep paying us the $10,000 or $20,000, $50,000 taxes every year. Oh no, we're going to form a corporation and they're going to transfer the property over there. And before you know it, GE's off the hook and this corporation goes bankrupt. I mean, this manipulation has got to stop, as it seems, because we constantly are fooled by the same people that are the same mentality that tells us that let's buy a pig in a poke without looking.
Okay, we're going to go to the 2-minute drill. I want to mention about what you challenged Mr. Brindisi to go to Rousery at 5.
Or St. Joe.
Out there. I remember Brindisi, I'd like to go along with you. I would like to, I think you're challenged.
Matter of fact, I'll go with all of you, and we'll walk those streets after 5 p.m. And I want him to show us how Rouse and how St. Joe's have positively impacted with his hospital economic impact of foot traffic, those areas of Syracuse. Don't point to the one that's located on the college campus, because of course it's one of the largest college campuses in America, and people live on that college campus, and what do? They come home at 5 p.m. because that's where they live. That's why those businesses and shops in and around University Hospital do thrive.
We also should ask to see if we can have Claudia come along with us for us. And maybe a grow.
Maybe we can bring former Mayor and Julian and our 3 mayoral candidates. But
well, no one of the candidates that has come out in favor of this, Linda Fowler.
You mean opposing the hospital downtown?
Downtown, right. Opposing the hospital.
She is in favor of no hospital downtown.
So you have one former mayoral candidate and one current candidate. One former mayor and one current candidate.
I would call it a smart hospital in Utica, not a downtown hospital or anything like that. Because there are areas, the vaccine idea might work.
We're going to go in.
Huh?
We're going to get 48.
I don't know, it's up to vaccine. I mean.
Okay, well.
Well, they have let's face it, in their infinite wisdom, and I think it is true wisdom, this board approved as the alternative location, St. Luke's. So we have a viable location, which is already off the tax rolls approved. Let's put it there. That's where many of those board members, if asked, and if they were allowed to speak up, which by the way, they've been told they can't speak up. If they were allowed to speak up, they would tell you that the first choice is in fact St. Luke's.
Well, better than mass firings.
Okay, we have to go really quick here. Okay, what properties will be purchased?
And will they be purchased prior to the project even being approved?
And why is that important? Why is that important?
It's important because we want to see who's cut the deals. And you and I both know it's Utica. They've got the deals.
I think they've already had a bunch of them listed in the paper that haven't even been purchased yet.
Well, that's the problem. It really, I think what boils down to this, and I'm not trying to oversimplify, but when these politicians come in and say we're creating, take that word out and replace the shuffle. They're not creating a shuffle.
They're rearranging the deck chairs on the
They're rearranging
Titanic.
shuffle, whatever, but they're not creating anything new.
And by the way, the guy who's most pushing downtown location. Steve DeMayo rearranged the deck chairs on Titanic when he took so many of our Utica businesses, subsidized them, and put them on Griffiths. We should have been keeping
Yeah,
them
that's
here.
another thing.
I want to thank Jim Brock. I think
Hey, it's been a
pleasure. A lot of fun.
This out, so and we'll see you tonight later on. Well, that's right, you won't be here, but you'll be the
There'll
next
be a
week.
lot of our folks there, and our group is going. Once again, we are hashtag No Hospital Downtown if you're on Facebook, and if not, find us on the web, www.nohospitaldowntown.com.
Thank you for coming, Rick. I will see you next week.